Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dr. Stephen James here. Really sorry about that. Anxiety took hold, and I tried to stop the stream, but I closed the app, not realizing that wouldn't end it. But alright, yeah, so from here on out, I'm going to power through it, even if it means that I have to, even if it means I have to attempt to get through this. So yeah, see, it's a glitch. I've been trying to get rid of it, but what the? Sorry, it's a little tough to do this with an outstretched arm. It's a little embarrassing, but yep. So we're going to continue watching this with this ghetto setup. Ooh.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Carpenter,
I wasn't there
and
before.
this is the Wired autocomplete interview.
This will be easier to do if I'm standing up.
Kingston in my head. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, microphone. Who's Sabrina Carpenter? Who is Sabrina Carpenter? Me.
Oh.
Well, there's actually probably someone else in the world named Sabrina Carpenter, so I'm just one of a couple. I think there's only a few. I've checked that, actually. Who did Sabrina Carpenter play in Harry Potter? Great question. I was Ron. So it was a great experience, and I grew up on that set. Emma and Daniel, so it was
Just,
cool.
I'm going to
It was
try
great
to
people.
shut up
I'm a huge
as much as I
fan.
can for these
I
videos.
actually was performing close to Universal in Florida, and went to Harry Potter World for the day, and I went into the room where they choose your wand for you. It's a very big moment. That wand was chosen for me, and then I brought it home, and now I cast spells on everybody. It's great. Who did Sabrina Carpenter voice in Phineas and Ferb? It's interesting because I ended up working with the creators, Stan and Swampy, of Phineas and Ferb on my next animated series, Milo Murphy's Law, but I was just a small guest role. I went in for the day, and it was kind of one of my first voiceover jobs.
I was just
where they had me
reaching
do,
for
a
my
bunch
soda.
Of, random voices, so I literally don't even remember who I would have even played. But there's throughout a few different episodes, me just as random guest things that they would need, a little girl screaming or crying or random stuff that they use all the time. So I have no idea. If you find it, let me know. Voice impressions. What was it this morning? Literally, I was going, makes me want a hot dog real bad. And I was just working on my Jennifer Coolidge, trying to figure it out. She actually played my mom in a short series that I worked on, and she was so wonderful. I'm still working on it. Who I am. Sabrina Carpenter lyrics? Am I just not remembering my childhood at all? Yeah, I guess that was a song that I cover in the talent show. That was one of my first guest appearances on a show, which was really interesting to perform. I will be completely honest, I don't remember the lyrics. I'm not gonna toss it in your face. I'm gonna go this way. What's Sabrina Carpenter? What is Sabrina Carpenter allergic to? I've been dying to talk about this because all my friends forget. Every time I'm allergic to apples and almonds. Apples and almonds. They're okay, cool. So I see them the next day, and they're Sabrina, I got you these almonds if you want, or I just made almond butter. They're always forgetting my allergies, but I can have baked apples, really random, but raw apples I'm allergic to, and then anything with almonds, which is unfortunate. I'm also slightly allergic to dogs and my cats as well. And
Same.
Peaches.
I spent a lot of time with the things I'm allergic to as well.
It's a really random one, nickel. I'm allergic to metal. So anytime I wear fake jewelry, really expensive things. Anytime I wear fake jewelry, I break out and my ears bleed essentially. And then if I wear jeans, it's a whole thing. So the struggle's real. What time was Sabrina Carpenter born? You and me both want to know. My mom tells me this every couple years, and I always forget. I think it's 8:52
got a notification from one of my bingo games. Gotta remove that.
Because I don't remember. But it was in the morning, I believe. What does Sabrina Carpenter say in French? Mon cœur est à toi pour toujours. Which means, my heart is yours forever. And that's a lyric in one of my songs, Paris. I wrote this bridge in French. I guess I just want to learn how to say that, because I always tell people that my heart is theirs forever. I give it away so easily. What kind of dog? Sabrina Carpenter half. He's a little bit of a mutt. His name's Goodwin. He's a celebrity. He's a Maltese, Lhasa Apso, long-haired Chihuahua, and a Yorkie. So just really special, unique. And he's an angel, like truly an angel, and I love him so much. I got Goodwin on my 13th birthday, so at this point I've had him almost 10 years, which is crazy. I grew up having cats. We were a cat family and they were all strays because I lived in the woods. We had Woody, Bo, Ginger, and Mocha, and then they all grew up and then so
I love those names.
That's terrible. I love them and I miss them, but I've had time to grieve. I then moved to California and now I have 2 new kittens, Benny and Bjorn. I don't know if anyone's an ABBA fan. Yeah, so they're precious and they're little British short hairs. They're white. They're beautiful. Sabrina Carpenter. How tall is Sabrina Carpenter in Girl Meets? Girl Meets what? Girl Meets World. I think I was probably 4'10" or 4'11" for a solid the whole show. I remember when I hit 5 foot. I was like doing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade and I like found out that day. I measured myself and I was like, did that happen? And then I don't think I've grown since. How long is Sabrina Carpenter on Broadway? Ooh, sore subject. We'll put in a sound effects of like the crowd going, "Aw." I made my Broadway debut in Mean Girls on Broadway, which was such a gift and such a special moment in my life. But it was unfortunately 2 days before the cute little global pandemic. So I got to do 2 shows. So I was on Broadway.
I love how
on
she
2
described
nights.
it.
I'm hopeful that I'll be able to go back at some point, even if it's not Mean Girls, then back to Broadway eventually, because I loved it. I had the best time. How many octaves can Sabrina Carpenter sing? It's such a funny question. I've worked with my vocal coach, Eric Vitro, since I was like 12. He's told me that I have 4 to 5. I'm always really, really like adamant about taking care of my voice, and he's the best, and I love him so much. Shout out to Eric. How is... Google, how is Sabrina Carpenter related to Joey King? How are we related? We're not. I wish we were. Joey's one of my best friends, but yeah, not by blood. We're not related. Although, it's funny, I'll never forget, one night we went to this restaurant in Georgia, and like, literally 3 people that night stopped us to ask us if we were twins. I kid you not, we looked nothing alike. And they were just convinced. They're like, oh my gosh, you guys are the most beautiful twins you've ever seen. And we're like, what? My mom and her mom were also there with us, and so they were both like, what? It was so funny. What a bizarre night, and no one's ever said that since. How is Sabrina Carpenter related to Nancy Cartwright? It's my dad's sister. She's the voice of Bart Simpson. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. And then like also 89 other characters on The Simpsons.
I'm just a widow Dickens.
Like Rufus and Kim Possible and Chucky and the Rugrats, like everything, literally. So, legend. We work on like kind of different ends of the industry, but I've learned so much just from like observing her, and she's so talented. Why Sabrina
Yeah, sorry, that was my neck cracking if you heard that.
Why Sabrina Carpenter ukulele? It's almost a sentence and almost a question, but like we're just missing a few. Why Sabrina Carpenter play ukulele? Why buy Sabrina Carpenter on the ukulele? Because I have a song called Why. The ukulele, I wish I knew them. That's why you're looking them up. Yeah, I actually haven't played Why on the ukulele, but I have to look up the chords myself so I can help you. Why Sabrina Carpenter?
Yeah, I'm not gonna
genius?
be able
You tell me.
to hold this camera still all the
Did I?
time.
No, I'm
You're
kidding.
just gonna have to
Someone
deal with
actually looked
that.
Are you sure? They're bored.
I tried lying down,
Why
but
did Sabrina Carpenter start
the screen
her?
was too
Oh,
far
I
away
thought that
from
was
the
end.
camera.
Photography account. So you're talking about my sister? We do look very similar, to be fair, because we're related. But my sister has an iconic photography account called Don't Take the Polaroid because she's an iconic photographer. That's really funny that you think it's my photography account because we look alike, I guess. And she posts a lot of photos of me, to be fair. We love taking photos together. It's like our favorite thing in the world. I'm very, very lucky to always just be like creating beautiful imagery with my sister on her photography account. Smash that follow button. Not there, but like wherever it is. Does Sabrina Carpenter have any special talents? No. No, I'm kidding. I pretty much share everything that I have to offer. I don't think I have any special talents other than like the eyebrow thing. Like I can do that, but you can't see because I have bangs now.
Wish I could do
But
that.
I need the bangs. They're dark enough. I like do like the caterpillar wave eyebrows. Does Sabrina Carpenter play an instrument? I do. I play a bit of piano, guitar, bass, ukulele, and drums when I'm feeling rhythmic. Does Sabrina Carpenter have siblings? I do. I'm the baby of my family. I have 3 older sisters, and then I have a puppy, Goen, and 2 cats. Does Sabrina Carpenter dye her eyebrows?
I just received an email saying I got a copyright claim.
Because they were like, like, they're too dark, I don't buy it. Unfortunately, they're natural. Yeah, this was the way.
Also, my phone's
man.
done.
Sabrina Carpenter.
It says it's
playing
attempting to
Spider-Gwen.
reconnect.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Reconnected.
I don't know. I feel like anytime
Sorry, that was
Marvel is
weird.
brought up, by the way, I get this
I
immediate
can't explain
panic.
it.
Even if I'm not working with them, just like the sheer thought of maybe working
I mean,
with them, that I'm like, I can't give away.
Is this video copyright?
Sabrina Carpenter Gemini. No, and I feel like
I mean,
a quicker
it's-
search would have been what Sabrina Carpenter.
It's a big
or Zodiac.
it's a
sign.
big
I'm
channel
curious,
like
actually.
Watch
Sabrina
Mojo and all
Carpenter,
those
the
others,
dancer.
but
I started dancing when I was 2 because my mom put me and all my
I don't
sisters
know.
in dance lessons, which was
Maybe
so
the
fun. And
microphone
I really
picked
was
up
dancing
something
for, like, a long period
playing
of time
from
until I was
downstairs
maybe like 14 or 15, and then
I won't know
got
for
stuck
sure
but
till,
I got
um,
to dance again in my Netflix
till I
movie
check
work,
the
which was really
audio.
fun. That was like the first time I danced in a long time, so I was like sore. Is Sabrina Carpenter going on tour? Yeah.
This is stupid.
Eventually.
This is exactly why I'm streaming so late.
Touring's a huge part of my life.
Because I
I've
wanted
always
to
kinda
watch
when
all
it
the
happens and when it's
copyright-
safe, I can't wait to see everybody. Like,
A bunch
so
of songs
excited
that are
to play
flagged
this
for
album before.
copyright.
What Sabrina Carpenter?
That is
What's Sabrina
actually the
Carpenter's
first time I've ever had a
song?
stream
The
get
first song that I
interrupted.
released kind of officially.
Usually I
this was
don't
Can't Find
find
It All
out
the Time.
until after
Real
it's
big
over.
throwback. Meghan Trainor actually wrote that song, which is kind of how I met her. Let's talk about ukulele. That song
Thanks a
is
lot,
fully ukulele,
monetizers.
So sweet. Very different person who sang that song versus now. It's so funny because like some friends of mine like they just always love that song. They're like,
I mean, to be fair, I did have 2 streams going on at
Sabrina
once.
Carpenter's new song about skinny dipping. Glad you asked. It's kind of a multitude of things. It truly is.
So maybe
kind of
that
like
stream was
inner
interrupted.
monologue, inner dialogue with yourself, but also kind of coming to terms with your past and your present and kind of being able to like
Right.
sit with the discomfort of things that have happened in life and not hold a grudge or hold any resentment, but just be able to like skinny dip and water into the village.
Got some chips and dip I should dig
What
into.
was Sabrina Carpenter in Sophia the
I'll
First?
keep the camera pointed at the
Great show,
screen.
iconic. I played Princess Vivian,
best I
one of
can.
Sophia's friends, classmates, and I had this cute pet dragon. I know, kind of a subtle flex. I think I first auditioned for that show when I was like 11. I was so young. Also, my character, if you look her up, she has the craziest bangs. Like, you thought we had bangs? Like, she has bangs. She was on some other wave, too. They're like the short ones. I don't know. She's cool. What movies does Sabrina Carpenter play in? On Netflix, Alice for Netflix, Work It, and Tall Girl for Netflix. We're just getting started. Love my Netflix family. It's all been really, really fun. Sabrina Carpenter, Thumbs lyrics. Big mouthful. Somewhere in the world there's a father and a mother and a father and a son and a brother and a mother and a daughter and a mother and a mother and a mother and a son and a brother and a son. That's literally the first verse. It's the family tree. I don't know. I'm probably not going to sing them all for you right now, but take a moment. Look them up. Sabrina Carpenter, Curtain Bangs. Whoa, that's crazy. Thank you for searching. Here they are, in case you were like looking for them. This is kind of how they move. They get annoying at times. I have to trim them pretty often. Thanks for being a fan. Sabrina Carpenter, Yellow Dress, Work It. I actually love that. It's so interesting to know like the like character wardrobe that people like.
Sorry, I was just wondering what time it was.
This was a custom dress so I could be able to like dance a little bit easier in it. But we modeled it off of another dress that was like a red dress in that same shape, but I love the color yellow, so I was like, can we please make it yellow? Can Sabrina Carpenter do gymnastics? Big question mark. I cannot do a flip. However, I can do the splits, and I can do a round off, and I can do a one-handed cartwheel when I'm sober. So, can Sabrina Carpenter cook? Also big question mark. I can watch people cook really well and give them support. I'm like a big, like, you're doing great type of person. I wish I could cook a comfort meal. I'd have so much comfort in my life. Can Sabrina Carpenter speak Japanese? You know, not a lot, but, what is it? Onakasuita? I think means I'm hungry. Because I remember a fan said that to me once, and then I said it on stage because I thought it meant something else. And then they all started laughing, and I was like, what? Like, what did I just say? Like, did I say something bad? And they were like, no. And then, like, someone was like, you said you're hungry. And I was like, fair enough. I was like, honestly, I am, so it worked out. Can Sabrina Carpenter draw? I do love to draw. I don't know how great I am, but I do love to draw in my free time. Like,
That was an interesting
artist, so
story.
Drawing is one of my favorite, like,
Yeah.
therapeutic, calming activities.
I'm trying to learn Japanese, but I'm a bit out of practice.
Well, now every song I've ever thought of is just gone. Why do I keep singing Sean Kingston in my head? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, microphone. I'm thinking of the most random songs in my head right now. Amy Winehouse. Meet you downstairs in the bar and her. You Know I'm No Good by Amy Winehouse with 2 lyrics misplaced. So fill those in yourself. Someone wants to know if I dyed my eyebrows. That's shocking, I guess, because they're homegrown locally. Yeah, that's so interesting, and nothing about my feet, so great day. Thanks so much, Fire. You guys are the best.
She's
I
funny.
enjoyed.
Just wanted to say that. She's very amusing.
Number 10, Bragg Road, Saratoga. The big thicket
Oh,
in southeast Texas
yeah, this
a dense
is
forested
top
area
10 terrifying
along the Alabama
places
border,
in
and there are
North
very
America
few
that are
roads
pure
cut
evil.
through it. One of the most
Yeah, I
infamous is
saw
Bragg
this
Road.
recommended
In
and I was like, I had to
1904,
check
the
it
road was built
out.
as a rail line to connect the now abandoned town of Bragg to the now thriving Saratoga. While the rails have long since been torn up, some ghostly reminders of the past still remain. When you drive down this lonely 8-mile-long dirt road at night, you, like thousands of others before you, are sure to see what are known as the ghost lights. Basketball-sized orbs of light that float and dance through the air, even changing in color according to some. There are a few stories on what these lights actually are. The most popular story is that a tragedy occurred on a midnight train run. The conductor, sleep-deprived from a long journey through the state, needed some fresh air to wake himself up. He stuck his head out the window, and in a freak accident, he was decapitated by a tree. And now his spirit is wandering the road, searching for his lost head. The other prevailing theory is that the light is a ghostly lantern belonging to a groom whose bride left him at the altar. He went searching for her in the forest.
I can
at
just
night,
imagine
but
that,
still never found
like
her
a
to this
headless
day.
ghost
Number
wandering
9,
around
Victor
aimlessly.
Hotel, Mineral Wells. Mineral Wells
His head is
built
probably
for
somewhere
its
trying to
majestic
guide it
mineral-rich water.
to the sound
In
of
the
his voice.
1880s, people would travel from all over
Like that
Texas to
scene
its
from
and it
Dead Man's
supposedly had healing
Chest.
powers and could cure almost
Oh,
any
phone's
ailment.
at
And with that kind
10%.
of tourist attraction, you need somewhere for all of these folks to stay.
Alright,
And so, in
I
1929,
think
the Baker Hotel was opened. With 14 floors and 450 rooms, it
my
was the biggest hotel for
controller
miles, and it used the mineral water as a
charged
draw for all
enough.
sorts of people. To this day, workers
have
and
to
visitors alike find small
that
things
in.
missing from their pockets or
Excuse
bags
me.
while touring the grounds, and workers have later found
Should have
them
just
on the
used the
floor in
tripod,
Baker's suite,
but
the room where the owner lived and died.
I
They
didn't
also
really
reported
wanna
cigar smoke in the air, another habit of Mr. Baker, further
place a
proving his
tripod
presence. But there
right
are
where
also some
I'm
less friendly spirits here, notably that of
trying
the chopped
to,
bell, who lost his life in a
stand
freak
and
elevator
record.
accident that saw his top half
Didn't want to
removed
give
from
up
the
my
bottom
open
half of
floor
his body.
space.
You've seen floating sans legs and screaming to be made whole again. Workers recommend you stay away, lest you meet the same fate. Known for its programs in engineering, technology, and agriculture, Texas A&M is one of the most highly regarded university in the state. But the engineering building is home to
Although
not
that's
only
starting to
future
look inevitable
engineers, but
right
the spirit
now.
of a former worker. In 1959, Roy
Oh, by the
Sims
way,
was
my
foreman for the
20
meat locker in what was then the Animal
on.
Industries building. He was showing his assistant some tips on butchering bacon, and when the assistant stepped out to get them both some
My
coffee, the knife
2022
slipped, and
calendar's
Sims
still
accidentally
up.
sliced his leg, severing his
I was
femoral
going
arteries in the
to
process. The
swap it
assistant
out
returned
on
to see Roy
stream
bleeding out on the
in
floor
just a
and
little
called an
bit.
ambulance, but it was too late, and he passed away.
Alright, I'm gonna
Students
turn the
and
light back
faculty alike
off.
report strange happenings in the building to this day. Noises and crashes, cool breezes when all the windows and doors are shut, and even objects moving or being out of place. And many attribute this to the ghost of Roy Sims just trying to get back to work. Number 7, Lake Highlands High School, Dallas. Imagine being back in high school, and during a rehearsal for the school play, the lights suddenly go out. And when they come back on, costumes have moved, props have crashed to the floor, and you see a ghostly apparition rise back up to the rafters. This is exactly what some students and faculty have reported at the Dallas High School. Reportedly, the ghost is that of a former student, Elizabeth, who took her own life jumping from the roof of the auditorium. While many attribute the cold spots and strange noises to the wind, there is no denying that there was a student named Elizabeth who attended the school around the same time the urban legend takes place and passed away, though the cause remains unclear. Number 6 on our list, the Ritz Theater in Corpus Christi. While there are no accounts of specific deaths associated with what was once South Texas's most beautiful theater, there are certainly enough ghostly happenings to make anyone's skin crawl. Paranormal investigators have reported that while walking through the now crumbling building, you can feel cold spots, hear voices, and see orbs floating through the air, some of which they've actually been able to catch on camera. Perhaps these are spirits who never managed to move on, or maybe they're happy right where they are. enjoying a pleasant night out at the theater in the afterlife. We won't know until somebody asks. Number 5. Jefferson Hotel, Jefferson. Originally built in 1851 as a cotton warehouse, the Jefferson Hotel has had haunting stories for decades. To this day, workers who were once skeptical of spirits have been converted to believers after dishes have gone flying, phantom footsteps were heard, and the front switchboard lit up as though the rooms were talking to each other, even when the hotel was closed to guests. Many attribute this to the ghost of Elizabeth, common ghost name, I guess, who took her own life in the hotel after her soon-to-be husband sent a note that he would not be coming to the wedding. This has been verified by newspapers to have happened in the 1870s, and there have been sightings of a woman in white roaming the halls of the hotel ever since. Number 4. Henley Row, Galveston. One of the oldest still operating commercial buildings in the city, Henley Row has seen many occupants throughout its time. Most notably, it was a watchtower during the American Civil War. Some have reported a soldier on the roof of the building at night watching out for Union Army members. There are also many spirits who appear soaked and wet from the 1900 storm that they and 12,000 others lost their lives in. However, my favorite story from this building is actually more recent. The manager of the market was gifted a photo of Dr. Wilbur, a man who had lived and died in the buildings many, many years before, and they decided to hang it in the market as a historical artifact. When Hurricane Ike hit the city in 2008 and left the building in 10 feet of water, damaging so much of the property, the picture remained unharmed, despite falling in the water. During their annual Day of the Dead celebration, the photo is included on the altar, along with many other objects and candles. With a 3-person rotation to ensure it's done, the candles are extinguished at night. Yet every year, the candles are mysteriously already burning the next morning. Number 3. Haunted Train Tracks, San Antonio. On a dark night in 1936, at the rail crossing on Shane Road, just outside of San Antonio, a tragedy occurred which would rock the state to its core. An after-hours event at the local elementary school had many students staying late that night, and the school bus service was diverted till later in the evening. When it was time to go, students loaded up and headed home. Unfortunately for some, this would be their last ride. The bus had been working better than ever all evening, the bus driver noted, and suddenly it stalled out on the rail tracks. The driver tried and tried to restart the vehicle, but it was no use. Then suddenly a train appeared. Its lamp must have been out, and it was too late to move the bus, even if it was working. The driver began to carry students off the bus as fast as he could, but then the bus was hit by the train side on, and the driver was thrown from the window. 10 students survived, but many others didn't. After recovering from his injuries and leaving the hospital weeks later, the bus driver got in his car and returned to the rail crossing that night. Haunted by grief, he drove his car onto the tracks, turned it off, and hurled his keys into the night, determined to take his own life. And when he saw the train charging down the tracks, he suddenly felt the car rolling forward, all the way off the tracks and out of harm's way. When he inspected his car, he saw multiple sets of small handprints on the back. Perhaps those of the students,
Creepy,
not wishing for his
but
life
kinda
to be
cool.
lost in the same way theirs had. Number 2, Hotel Galvez, Galveston. After the devastating hurricane in 1900 that left many dead and much of the town destroyed, Galveston decided to rebuild. And with that came the Hotel Galvez. Many
Topping off my
spirits are said to be
drink.
lurking the grounds, even to this day, but the most infamous of them all is Audra. In 1952, she was staying in room 501, while her fiancé was out at sea working on a cargo vessel. When news came from the company that their ship had sunk and all hands on board were lost, Audra decided to end her life in the hotel room that night. But a few days later, her betrothed returned to the hotel. Reports had been wrong, and he had survived the shipwreck. And elated to see his fiancée, he threw open the doors to room 501 and saw her body. Distraught, he then took his own life, laying next to her on the bed. And finally, we reach your number 1 most suggested haunted place in Texas, Goatman's Bridge. This bridge in Denton once led to the homestead of a farmer, the Goat Man, who was renowned for the quality of his farm's milk, cheeses, and meat. The former owner of the land never saw any such success while he operated the farm, and in a booze-fueled fit of jealousy, he attacked the farmer, put a rope around his neck, and threw him from the side of the bridge. He then returned to the homestead and burned it to the ground, taking the lives of the family and the livestock. When he returned to the bridge to check on his gruesome handiwork, he looked below only to see an empty noose. He then heard 3 loud metal clangs, like someone was knocking on the bridge. And then suddenly behind him, a large, ghostly man with a goat for a head appeared, put a noose around his neck, and threw him over the side of the bridge, taking revenge for himself and his family. Now they say that if you visit the old Alton Bridge at night and knock 3 times, you too will see the Goat Man. But be warned, he does not like to be disturbed.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Grand Union Hotel. This hotel resides in Fort Benton, which is one of the oldest towns in Montana.
a very popular
and was first
spot.
established by the French-American fur traders Auguste and Pierre Choteau in 1846. While much of the town has been dismantled by the years, the Grand Union Hotel still stands, and it is among the oldest in the town, with its initial build taking place in 1882. There are many ghost stories and haunting tales that have come from this hotel, but I will tell you one of my favorites. Apparently, this hotel might be the home to a paranormal horse. A phantom horse. It really doesn't get more interesting than that. People have reported
That is
hearing the
amusing.
stomping of hooves, and they believe that this horse belonged to a cowboy who, one night after having a few too many pops, tried to ride his horse up the main staircase before he was shot by the hotel manager. In our number 9 spot today, we have 2223 Montana Ave in Billings. This address seems a little suspiciously specific, but the story behind this
Billings.
haunting is quite a tragic accident. In 1945, on December 8th, an airplane that was transporting World War II soldiers who were returning
Why do I
home
know
from
that
war
city
ended up
name
crashing in a
or
field
township,
east of
whatever it
Rocky
is?
Mountain College.
Feels
17
so familiar to
servicemen
me.
and 2 pilots lost their lives in this crash, while there were only 4 survivors. This is, of course, a lot of people, and at the time, it was too many for the morgue to handle at one time, so the majority of the bodies needed to be stored somewhere else for the time being. This led to 13 of the bodies being held at a refrigerated warehouse of the local grocery store located at, you guessed it, 2223 Montana Ave. This address has had many different businesses come through its doors since this tragic story occurred, and with all these businesses, the same chilling stories have remained. Employees and customers have reported seeing the ghost of a man in a World War II era military uniform inside of this location. Considering the years it's been, it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere soon. In our number 8 spot today, we have Fort Peck Theater. This town dates back to the building of the Fort Peck Dam because the town was initially built to temporarily house the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, workers, and their families. In the 1930s, while building the amenities that would be needed, the Fort Peck Theater was also built in order to provide the residents with some entertainment. The theater is still used to this day, mostly for theatrical productions, but it's also full of paranormal entertainment as well. The theater is said to be haunted by a male spirit who appears wearing 1930s work clothes. Some visitors even report hearing sounds of men at work even when the theater is empty, and sometimes apparitions even appear in the dressing rooms. I just think that's the most theater thing ever. Ghosts in the dressing rooms? Shakespeare would love that. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Boulder Hot Springs Inn and Spa. This inn is located, of course, in Boulder, and it is actually a place that dates back to a time before Montana was even a state. This now historical landmark was initially created or recognized in 1881, and it was a place where businessmen, miners, and ranchers could all go, and here they could sort of mingle with each other. In this day and age,
Cool.
it is said that you might still be
Sounds
able
like a
to
pretty cool
mingle with
concept.
those guests from all of those years ago. As legend has it, this place is highly haunted. The most well-known of the ghosts here, however, is that of a woman named Simone. It is said that Simone sadly had her life taken in the hotel, and that her spirit now resides there. Visitors and staff
I should do an
alike have
overnight
reported
video
some really
for this
strange
place one day.
occurrences, like extreme temperature shifts,
I'd love
drastic
to do
changes in
that.
energy,
Thumbs
and
up
even the
if
sound
you'd
of
like
children
that.
running through the halls when there is no one to
Subscribe
be
so
seen.
you
In
don't
our number
miss
6 spot
out.
today, we have St. Charles Hall. The oldest building on the Carroll College campus, which is located in Helena, is said to be St. Charles
Helena?
Hall, named after St. Charles
Yeah, if I
Borromeo,
want to see the
who
ball
college was
drop,
actually
I'm gonna have
named
to
after. The
stop
building was
this
originally constructed
video
in
before
1904 and is mostly
before
used
it's
as a dorm
over.
for students now, and those
I'll
who
I'll
reside
come
in the dorm
back,
have
of
quite the
course, because I
stories
believe in
about the
finishing
men's
what I
washroom
started,
on the
but
fourth floor. This is said to have been the site of a
Just
horrible
saying.
tale. Story goes that in 1964, a student blacked out while brushing
Hold
their
on.
teeth, and as they fell, they hit their
Time
head
is
on the
it?
sink in the bathroom. They were treated
Yeah,
at the local
I'd-
hospital, but
I'd
unfortunately
check-
passed from their injuries and complications. After this, students using that
Yeah,
bathroom
I'd
began to
check
experience
using my
strange
phone, but
happenings. A
I
glance
don't
in the
wanna
mirror would
disrupt
have
the
them
stream
seeing a young
again.
man standing behind them with a head wound. Some would turn on the faucet and see blood flowing rather
I'm
than
still
water.
not
After
really
years
sure
of these
if I'm
reports, the
still
bathroom has
broadcasting or not, to
apparently
be
now been locked
honest.
up and is no longer in
It
use.
says I'm
People still
connected,
report
but
hearing scraping sounds
I
from
don't
the
know.
inside. In our number 5 spot today, today we have the Many Glacier
I don't
Hotel.
use this
The Many
app often
Glacier
enough.
Hotel has sat in its home on the eastern shore of Swift Current Lake for over a century now, and with history like that, there's bound to be many a ghost story. Other hotels in the area too have talks and tales of hauntings, but none seem as active as the Many Glacier Hotel. A ghost hunter by the name of Karen Stevens has taken to documenting some of these paranormal stories. One of the most frightening is the tale of a young boy who apparently witnessed a woman in a red dress standing in his hotel room. Guests aren't the only ones, however. Employees too have had their own encounters. The most active room in the hotel is apparently room 308, where you can not only hear strange noises, but also see apparitions that vanish into thin air just as quickly as they appeared. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Daly Mansion. This mansion is located in Hamilton, and in its previous life, it was the farmhouse to the Copper King Marcus Daly. He purchased this home in 1886 and put it through some extensive renovations for it to become the
Kinda looks like the Braithwaite Manor.
that it still has today.
Don't you guys think?
In 1941, when Margaret Daly passed away, the house fell into disrepair after several years of being neglected, and this led to the state purchasing it in 1986. The state began restoration work on the property, and this is when many of the haunting tales started to spread. Smoking, of course, is not allowed in the home in this day and age. But
Anyway, as I was saying, it's a nice little plantation. It's a nice looking plantation house.
seems to be coming from what was once the office of Marcus Daly. Not only this, but in the music room, there is a painting that just can't quite seem to stay on the wall, but no one has ever seen it fall off. Some even report to have seen the ghost of Mrs. Daly themselves. In our number 3 spot today, we have Grasshopper Glacier. This place is quite different than the others on this list, but for me, this place is the stuff of nightmares. Yeah, if you aren't a fan of bugs, you can go ahead and skip this one. If I were you, I would go. A glacier in Montana is the home to many grasshoppers and locusts. Yeah, imagine heading to a glacier, but you forgot bug spray. What a fool.
It's after 11:30 and I haven't had my glass of wine yet.
They aren't mosquitoes.
I hate it when I have a late start in the day.
Appropriately named Grasshopper Glacier, the mile-long glacier near Crook City holds the remains of extinct grasshoppers. The only thing worse is if they all came back to life. These guys likely were in the middle of travel when they found themselves stuck in a blizzard, and now they're stuck for the foreseeable future. This is like a very forbidden version of one of those like scorpion lollipops. In our number 2 spot today, we have Virginia City. This town is often referred to as a ghost town due to the fact that as of 2020, the population sat just slightly over 200 people, and it is no surprise that this ghost town is said to be the home of some of Montana's most famous hauntings. Virginia City was first founded in 1863 by prospectors who originally named the area after the wife of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. The name was only changed when a judge, Judge G.G. Bissell, who was town's registration, objected
I'll be
to the
right
name
back,
and
guys.
scheduled
I'm
it to
gonna
be
get
called
that glass of
Virginia.
wine.
The town's population began to grow once people heard of the nearby gold deposits and discoveries. As the town grew, there wasn't sufficient law enforcement, which meant that there were a lot of vigilantes out there looking to take the law into their own hands. This led to many people who were suspected of being traveling robbers being hanged by said vigilante groups. By the time the 1940s rolled around, the town was in ruins. Charles and Sue Bovey ended up coming and buying up all the property they could, and the town now remains a tourist site.
I could pause the video, but it's a long one.
One of the most well-known ghosts is that of a tall man in a blue Civil War soldier's coat, and he is often said to be found walking around the town's boardwalk at night, smoking as he strolls. Another one of the most famous sightings is that of a woman and a young girl. Little is known about their story, but they are often cited by tourists. In our number 1 spot today, we have Deer Lodge. Deer Lodge, the old Montana Territorial Prison, now known as the Old Prison Museum, once held prisoners for over 100 years. It apparently was quite a lousy place during that time that was full and overcrowded and had terrible food, and it was just a very dangerous place. Many inmates took each other's lives here, and with all of the stories from when this was a prison, it's just clear that if any place were to be haunted, it would absolutely be this one. There even was a huge riot that broke out in 1959. Since this prison closed down in the 1970s, the tales haven't become any less grim. Visitors report hearing eerie noises, and some have even felt the sensation of being touched. Many people believe that the ghost of convicted killer Paul Eitner, known as Turkey Pete, still haunts cell number 1. He was incarcerated at the prison for 49 years before he passed away in 1967.
Starting us off at number 10, the Hanging Jail. Actually called the Beauregard Parish Jail, it opened in 1915, and it was actually kind of a big deal because it had extraordinary amenities for a jail. Each cell had a window and a bathroom, and cells on the top floor even had a skylight. But despite its beautiful architecture, it was also the site of Louisiana's first double execution. In 1926, 2 men were committed after killing and robbing a taxi driver and sentenced to be hanged. They claimed innocence, but still the verdict passed and the 2 men died in the jail, giving it the infamous name. It remained open until 1981, and now a museum. It's believed to be haunted by the 2 men along with other inmates who felt they were unjustly put behind bars. Many have reported being pushed or hearing voices while visiting, and some have even captured photos of strange, inexplicable, shadowy figures lurking on the porch and window, leaving no other explanation than to assume the jail remains a haunted and terrifying place to visit. Coming in at number 9, Pleasant Hall. This story has 2 versions, so I will let you decide which one you think is true. Once upon a time, while attending the Louisiana State University, a resident tragically took her life in the now infamous room.
I got my red
312.
wine.
One story says the girl killed her boyfriend in a fit of rage and then, shocked at her actions, took her own life because she could not live with what she had done. The other story claims the girl jumped out of the window of her room and fell to
Not
her
even half
impending
over.
doom, terrifying the students on campus that
All right.
witnessed the horrifying sight.
I think in like 15 minutes I'll tune into the broadcast.
But what's not difficult to know is that the spirit of the girl remains, haunting Pleasant Hall to this day. Students have reported seeing her ghost roam the campus and hearing strange noises coming from the other side of room 312. And sometimes at night, when you least expect it, the door to room 312 will open and shut all on its own. Coming in at number 8, St. Louis Cemetery number 1. Regarded as the city of the dead, the St. Louis Cemetery number 1 holds more ghost stories than you'd want to encounter in a lifetime. In the span of a mere block, the cemetery has over 700 tombs and over 100,000 bodies are known to be buried at the site. Most famously, it is the burial site of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, the most
I'm on my
revered and
knees, I'm
feared
begging
practitioner in New Orleans
you.
history. Reports of her ghost have
Awake the
detailed her in her
phone,
signature
one
red and white turban and claim
man.
she will suddenly appear out of nowhere and then vanish from plain
They said
sight
this is
just
in New
as
Orleans,
fast.
right?
Visitors have experienced scratching, pinching, shoving, suddenly becoming ill, and even hearing her haunting voice echo across the cemetery, sending many that have dared to visit running for the hills. So just be careful if you choose to stop by. If you aren't careful, she could curse you for life. Next up at number 7, the Calcasieu Courthouse. The history of capital punishment is a torrid one, and as it turns out, this courthouse is actually famous for just that. Back in the 1940s, there was a woman named Toni Jo McHuston. She lived quite a tumultuous life involved in drugs and her local brothel, but one day she fell in love with a man.
Thanks
who
for that.
frequented her
Certainly didn't want to
establishment
get
named Claude
monetized,
Henry,
even
and
get
so they got
demonetized,
married,
even
and
though
she
I'm
started to
sure I already
return to the
have.
playground. But after Claude was sent to jail for 50 years for killing someone, something inside Toni snapped. She planned to bust Claude out of jail with a friend, but in the process of stealing a car, killed the owner and left him in a ditch. She was caught and sentenced to death and would become the first ever woman to be executed by the electric chair in Louisiana. It said her spirit still haunts the
In
courthouse,
Louisiana or in
looking
general?
and messing around with the filing systems during the day, but steer clear at night. As residents report, you can smell her burning hair and hear her unruly screams echo through the streets. Coming in at number 6, Pea Farm. Nicknamed the Pea Farm, it is not actually a farm, nor does it have anything to do with peas. It is, however, an old abandoned prison. The facility was in operation between 1905 to 1950, and rumor has it that life was incredibly rough and difficult.
That
at the
is
Pea
why
Farm
some
for
people should
prisoners,
not have naming
even
rights.
more so than your typical prison. Beatings and lashings were common commonplace, and even killing of prisoners was nothing to bat an eye at. So it's no surprise that those whose life may have ended here have stuck around, maybe trying to seek revenge.
Actually looks kind of familiar.
Today, the prison is
I think
strictly
Yasko
open to
has been
visitors,
here once or
but those
twice.
who have passed have reported
And
hearing
maybe
shrieks
Sam and Colby.
other strange noises coming from inside the abandoned building. Maybe no one is allowed for a good reason. Next up at number 5, Bonnie and Clyde's ambush site. Maybe you've heard of the infamous couple, but just in case you haven't, let me catch you up. They were notorious bank robbers across Louisiana and Texas during the Great Depression in
Clyde,
America,
what
and
happened
made quite
in
a name
the
for
early
themselves. In
days
recent years, it has been
is not
suggested their
something that
exploits
I
were
regret.
exaggerated, but one thing that
I'm
wasn't
still
is how they
counting the
died. The day was May
scars.
23rd, 1934, and police from both Louisiana and Texas managed to corner them in their stolen car. Authorities fired more than 100 bullets at the couple, and as the story goes, you could
Wow.
hear Bonnie scream from the next town over. Residents
Wow.
claim that if you visit the site of their death, the ghosts of the couple will make themselves well known to you. Apparitions
Interesting.
have shown in photographs, and some have even heard what they believe to be Bonnie's scream as she took her last few breaths on this earth. Coming in at number 4, Oak Alley. Once upon a time, it was one of the largest plantations in Louisiana, and just like every other of its kind, it has a dark past. Since its dark days, it has turned into a bed and breakfast and historical site, but the people that were tortured remain, haunting the ground and terrorizing visitors. Numerous accounts have claimed to hear unexplained sounds like blood-curdling screams in the middle of the night, or the sound of a horse-drawn carriage clopping along the path. Some visitors have even experienced being touched or grabbed by an unseen entity, and one investigator got so scared he dropped his camera while trying to capture a spirit.
Sorry about the
Paranormal
noise
investigators
outside.
have managed to capture several EVPs that indicate unhappy ghosts lingering the property, and though no one has been hurt staying here yet, tread carefully as you never know just when you could set the spirits off. Coming in at number 3, Alice's grave. Alice died in the 19th century, and although she had a fairly normal life while alive, her death and afterlife were anything but expected. She was laid to rest in an above-ground grave, but soon
Shoot,
after,
I think it's been
many
15
townspeople
minutes. Close enough.
was the grave
Give me a
haunted,
few
or
minutes.
worse, was Alice a witch? As the legend goes, in the middle of the night, the large slab of marble covering her grave was removed on 3 separate occasions, and each time, her remains were left outside the grave. No one stepped forward admitting to have moved Alice or the slab, which led people to believe that Alice was a witch trying to escape her grave and haunt the town. Eventually, large iron bars were placed over the grave in an attempt to hold her spirit inside. But this hasn't seemed to stop her, as locals claim you can still see her wandering the cemetery at night. But just exactly what is she looking for? That is one of the many unanswered questions that leave visitors terrified, unsure if she comes in peace or if she is out for revenge. Next up at number 2, the Manchac Swamp. While many are familiar with the legendary voodoo priestess Marie Laveau, she was not the only one of her time. Julia Brown was a well-respected healer and midwife who resided in a small village called Grenier. At first, she loved caring for her village, but after some time, she started to feel disrespected by her community, feeling as though they were taking her gifts for granted. Julia began scaring the village, telling them dooming predictions about their impending deaths, and the townspeople, unsure if she was placing a curse or foretelling their future, became very troubled. Shortly before her own death, she said, "One day I'm gonna die and I'm gonna take all you with me." And just days after she was buried, 3 entire villages were destroyed by a hurricane and hundreds of lives were lost. To this day, many believe the spirit of Julia Brown haunts the swamp, and visitors have reported hearing blood-curdling screams and the sound of her
Honestly,
voice singing
the hurricane could be
heartbreaking
unrelated.
songs,
Let's be real.
terrifying all those that dare walk by. And last up in our number 1 spot, La Laurie Mansion. Arguably one
La
of the
Laurie.
most infamous buildings in all of Louisiana, La Laurie Mansion was once home to the cruel
There's a
and
lot of
torturous
Louisiana
Madame
ones in
Delphine
this
Lalaurie.
one.
Even in her time, she was regarded as a monster and was known to have her slaves taken from her on more than one occasion due to their outrageous mistreatment. In 1834, a fire broke out in her mansion, and when police and fire marshals arrived at the site, they found one of her slaves chained to the stove, claiming to have started the fire to try and take her own life to escape the cruelty. Another 7 victims were found in her attic, suspended from the ceiling, mutilated and barely alive, stating to have been imprisoned for months. Once news broke out of her cruelties, citizens attacked the house and demolished everything they could. While the original building no longer stands, the grounds it stood on are some of the most
Streaming, what is
in
it?
all of Louisiana.
Did you touch this tree up here?
No.
Because the star's finally on.
It's
been up since Thanksgiving, now the light's finally on.
reported
Oh.
feeling the violent touches of ghostly
Sorry for
hands, and the
disturbing.
medium that visited stated that there is a very dark demonic entity that resides within the building's walls. So just tread carefully should you choose to visit. The spirits that live are not too thrilled by visitors
Weirdo.
in their home.
Number 10. Drill Hotel, Austin. While there are many reportedly haunted hotels in Texas, this one seems to top many lists for the most ghostly activity. Most of this seems to stem from the very chilling stories of room 525. In the 1880s, there was a young couple that was having their wedding at the hotel, or at least that was the plan.
Alright.
The groom got cold feet and left the bride at the altar.
I guess I wasn't really as mentally prepared for a stream as I thought I was.
And took her own life.
It's just
And said
been
she still walks
more
the
than a
halls
week
in her
since my
long
last
white gown.
upload, and
But that isn't the end of the story. Because in 1991,
not that it
the
necessarily
bride was burned at the
dictates whether you're
altar,
gonna
and
lose
after
any
going on a shopping
subscribers.
spree with the groom's stolen credit card,
I could be.
she too
There have been
took
instances
room
where I
525
stream
and took her own life. Since
every
then,
day, and
guests have seen her carrying a pistol
I
and
lose a
walking into
subscriber
the
or
room,
two.
all without ever opening the door. So don't stay in room 525 or you may never check out. There's also an eerie painting that
Not to mention I
says
have an
the spirit of a
upload
young
planned
girl
for
with the daughter
tomorrow,
of a senator,
so
whose expression
even if I
seems
didn't
changed on
stream
its own.
tonight, I
People
would
who
have
view the painting have said
still
that they
gotten
feel
an
like they
upload
were
out of the
floating
way.
off of the ground, though they remained on the floor. They also say that their equilibrium and balance was off for a few hours after looking at her. Number 9, USS Lexington, Corpus Christi. Now before I tell you about this spooky ship, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can catch all of our amazing videos. As a naval vessel that saw actual battle, there have been multiple lives that were lost on board, including that of an engine room operator who still roams the ship at night waiting for the battle to end. The crew of the ship have often reported flickering lights and doors slamming on their own, which, given that this is a very well-maintained historical site, you'd think that they would have found the cause by now. Maybe it's just the ghosts of sailors lost to time. Coming in at number 8, we have the Marfa Lights in, you guessed it, the town of Marfa. While there is so much beauty in the area and plenty of non-spooky reasons to visit, the main tourist attraction to this quaint little town are floating, sourceless lights that seem to change color and even move in the night sky. Many visitors make the journey at all times of year to
Reaching for
see
my
the
glass
lights,
of
and
wine.
there's even a yearly festival made in their honor. Reported since 1883 by people of all ages and professions, no one knows what these floating orbs are. They appear at random, but usually in the same area of the sky, and since there's so much open space and low light pollution, it's perfect for stargazing, or seeing spooky orbs, I guess. Some say that these lights are UFOs, some say spirits, and others think that they're just headlights. All that I know is that if I see a mysterious floating orb, I'm going the other way. Number 7. Woman Hollering Creek, San Antonio. Said to be the home
there's
of
really gotta
La
be a
Llorona,
safer
or
place for
the
this
Weeping
wine.
Woman, this creepy creek leaves anyone who visits with a sense of dread. As the story goes,
I
La
bet.
Llorona was a woman who was distraught that her once doting, affectionate husband left her for another woman. And after confronting him and leaving the confrontation with cuts and bruises, she waded into the water, dressed in her best clothes, and drowned herself in the creek. Right after doing the same to the rest of her family. Her chilling screams for her children can be heard all the way from the highway, giving her and the creek its very apt name. Many people have felt themselves being drawn towards the water by ghostly voices, and some have even been tugged towards the bank of the creek. Perhaps it's La Llorona looking for her next victim. The screams heard and feelings of being pulled into the water have mostly been reported by younger people, making this all the more terrifying, given what La Llorona did. Number 6, El Paso High School. Now, when you're thinking of
Yeah,
haunted
but if you
places,
think about it, it
Seoul
also
isn't
makes it
exactly the
less
first place that
believable
comes
if it
to
was
mind,
kids
but
boasting
this
those
one has quite a
tales.
story. In 1985, the graduating
For being
class
honest.
received their yearbooks, and when basking in the nostalgia of their group photo, they noticed something odd. A woman who no one could identify was in the picture with them. Now, obviously, that would be quite concerning. I know I'd be freaked out if there was someone I'd never seen before standing next to me in a picture. The blurry apparition still has not been identified to this day, but some think it's a student who fell from a window years before, who never got to graduate. I say give her the diploma. She's already in the yearbook. Sticking with El Paso, in our number 5 spot is the Plaza Theater Performing Arts Center. As someone who loves the theater, I try to see as many shows as I can, but...
Alright, yep, it's 5 minutes to midnight. Let's do it. Oh. Sorry, one sec. Trying here, but this thing's being uncooperative.
All platforms.
Oh, like I said before, I have tried finding the channel that this is airing on live TV, but to no avail.
And up next, just before midnight, we have our final performance of the evening when platinum singer-songwriter and producer Chelsea Cutler returns to bring the world
Who?
together with
Humana
her
Hamana?
version of John Lennon's Imagine.
Yeah, I just dawned on me I'm likely gonna get a copyright claim. As long as it's not blocked, though. I mean, not just for this song, but perhaps for the entire broadcast in general. Still, I've seen Crazy Rabbit do it once and never got blocked, so maybe I'll be okay too. Yeah, you know what? There's a reason why I'm not really caught up on new age music. It's because most of it's pretty terrible, but I'll be back. Let me just... Actually, I wonder if... Yeah, both streams are still up. Alright, well...
visiting this theater, no matter how good the production is. Built in 1930 as a movie house, demolished
Just
for
for a
parking lot in the
few
late 80s,
minutes.
and rebuilt as a live theater space, this building has seen many changes, but some things have stayed constant throughout its history. Many workers of the building have reported seeing a man in one of the box seats, in a tuxedo, smoking a cigarette. One crew member recalls seeing him after turning on the stage lights, sitting alone in the box, as though he'd been there for hours already before the lights came on. And when she saw the smoking man, he turned to her and said, "We all have our time to die," and then threw himself headfirst over the balcony, vanishing before he could hit the ground. A former vice president of the theater also recalls seeing a ghostly girl bouncing a ball in the aisles of the theater and always staring. He also noticed that there was a rag doll that seemed to appear and disappear on its own, moving to locations that it couldn't have without someone's help. Even locked doors didn't seem to stop it from appearing in the projection booth. Number 4, Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Established in 1951, this abandoned hospital has been named one of the most haunted places in America. And since over 2,000 patients are said to have died within its walls before it shuttered its doors in 1992, I can see why. Reports of apparitions of people in hospital gowns running through the corridors or hiding in rooms are numerous, along with moving wheelchairs, disembodied voices, and footsteps. But there are some who have even more chilling stories. While exploring the halls and rooms that have remained largely untouched since its closure, some ghost hunters have been touched, had their clothes tugged on, or even pushed to the ground while being given a ghostly warning. Some
I'm
of the
gonna
spirits are believed to be
unwrap
that
my
of
calendar.
patients who had illegal medical experiments
One sec.
performed on them and lost their lives in the process, making for a very vengeful ghost. Number 3, the Screaming Bridge in Arlington. On the night of February 4th, 1961, 6 from the local high school were taking a drive after seeing a movie earlier in the evening. While driving down Bedford Road toward the rail crossing bridge, which had mysteriously been burned down a few years previous, only rebuilt earlier that year, they were startled by another car reversing and honking its horn wildly. This caused the driver to speed up out of fear, and not realizing that the bridge was out, the car careened over the edge and crashed into the other side of the ravine. Unfortunately, 3 of them lost their lives that night, and their screams of terror can still be heard by anyone traveling.
I can put it up
Greenbelt Road.
when we're
The sad part of this story is that
watching the
car that startled them
broadcast.
was being driven
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Seven, 6. The news anchor. But I don't know. So far, there's nothing. You know, honestly, I said that I would stream. I would continue to stream for a little longer after the AM, but honestly, I wasn't really mentally ready to begin with. I had a ton to do, but I would love to do another chill stream in the near future. Like, maybe during, what was I gonna say? Oh, maybe during, piece of cardboard just fell out from the calendar. In between the pages. Yeah, look at that shiny new calendar, huh? Looks great. Alright, I'm gonna turn the camera toward me now. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you did, be sure to thumbs it up, like and subscribe, because I have a ton planned for this month alone. Ugh, it's gonna be overwhelming, but so fulfilling if you're gonna view it. So subscribe so you don't miss out, and I will see you soon. As always, I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See ya. Happy New Year.